Welcome to the world of Elia Learning. Today, we're going to discuss the story, A Letter to God. A Letter to God is a story that explores the power of unwavering faith and the complex interactions between humans, nature, and divinity. Lencho, the main character in the story, is a hard-working farmer who lives with his family in a solitary house overlooking his cornfields. His livelihood depends on his crops. Lencho is expecting some rain and is overjoyed when the downpour begins. His excitement is so great that he joyfully compares the drops to new coins falling from the sky. However, his happiness is short-lived as the rain quickly turns into a brutal hailstorm, destroying his crops and leaving his family facing the prospect of starvation for the year. Lencho is heartbroken. Despite the total loss, Lencho maintains an unwavering, immense faith in God. He believes God will help him and not let him go hungry. The following day, Lencho writes a letter to God. He requests God for 100 pesos so that he might sow his fields again and live until the crop arrives. He posts the letter at the town post office. At the post office, a postman and the postmaster are amused by the unusual address. It simply said, "To God." The postmaster reads the letter and is deeply moved by Lencho's faith. Not wanting to shake the farmer's faith in God, he decides to answer the letter. He collects money from his employees, receives donations from friends, and contributes part of his own salary. However, he manages to collect only 70 pesos. He places the money in an envelope addressed to Lencho and signs it God. The following Sunday, Lencho returns to the post office to check if he had received a reply from God. Such was his confidence in God's help that when he read the letter and found the money in it, he showed no surprise at all. On the contrary, Lencho became angry when he counted the notes and found them to be 30 pesos short. Certain that God would neither make a mistake nor deny his request, Lencho immediately writes a second letter. In it, he asks for the remainder of the money, but warns God not to send it through the mail. He calls the post office employees a bunch of crooks and believe they stole his money. We will now go into the explanations of the story and explore the theme, the characters, the setting, the plot, and the literary devices used in the story. The theme. The main theme of the story is faith in God, with the sub-theme examining the irony of human relationships. Characters. The principal characters in the story are Lencho and the postmaster. The other characters include his wife, his sons, and the postman. Setting. This story is set in an isolated yet beautiful setting, emphasizing Lencho's connection to his land and his reliance on nature. The use of pesos as the local currency places the narrative within a Latin American context. The plot. The plot centers around a hardworking farmer named Lencho and his absolute, unwavering faith in God. The story follows these key events: hope for rain, destruction by nature, a letter to God, the postmaster's intervention, the arrival of the money, and the ironic conclusion. Literary devices. Metaphor is a figure of speech that shows analogy or likeness between two things. The metaphors used in the story are huge mountains as clouds. This describes the massive scale of the approaching storm. Raindrops as new coins, because a good harvest translates to financial prosperity. New silver coins and frozen pearls. It describes the hailstones, comparing them to precious items based on their white, shining appearance. Curtain of rain. This compares the falling rain to a cloth draped over the field. A plague of locusts, used to describe the scale of destruction, suggesting that even a swarm of locusts would have left more behind than the hail did. An ox of a man. It emphasizes Lencho's physical strength and his habit of working hard in the fields. Simile. Simile is a figure of speech that compares one thing to another by using the words like and as. The field was white as if covered with salt. It describes the visual impact of the hail on the landscape. Working like an animal in the fields. This reinforces the metaphor of Lencho as an ox, highlighting his labor-intensive life. Irony. Irony is the difference or contradiction between what you expect and what actually happens. The central irony of the story is that the post office employees who perform a selfless act of charity by giving their own money to save Lencho's faith are ultimately accused by him of being a bunch of crooks who stole his money.